We begin again. I want to start with saying sorry, and I feel guilty about something, which is that nearly 8 months back, when I began tracking companies and actively researching companies that are of interest for me, it came with a very benign interest that I want to track the finances of a company, understand their operational, what gets them ticking. Like that was my intention behind tracking companies, and thereby understanding sectoral trends and sectoral patterns in each different industry. Like for example, banking industry has a certain pattern, financial services industry has a certain pattern, the e-commerce industry has a certain pattern. So my interest was purely built on the thesis that each of these sectors have a certain pattern, understand those patterns and exploit those patterns in such a way that I could make money. That was my interest behind beginning to track companies in the start and see where it takes me for the next forthcoming 1 year. Now, what got me beginning was not the same reasons that kept me committed to that goal. So when I started it, I was able to track some 40 different companies at one stretch, and then I nearly abandoned it only because in the process of tracking these companies, in the part of the territory of beginning and building content or building some kind of thing, some kind of process in public, is that you regularly get some kind of feedback provided you solicit. And I solicited quite a lot of feedback from a lot of friends, from a lot of family members in general, who were actively following what I was doing. And one of the things I've noticed from the feedback that I received was that it did not add up to my role as a researcher. So I took up a research role about a year back, and then what keeps you committed to a research goal is that you get your things published in a respected journal. Now, your thesis will not be accepted or peer reviewed until and unless it gets published in a respected journal. But that does not mean, according to my judgment, this is just according to my judgment, is that it does not mean that the thesis could be wrong just because it doesn't get published. For example, Western India has an overwhelming majority within the financial services industry. That's a thesis, that's a hypothesis. There could be some proof attached to it, there could be some anecdotal evidence attached to it, but there is no overarching opinion that is published in the journals, or at least is published in serious academic journals where people get to overwhelmingly accept it. It's just an anecdote, right? It just is not published, doesn't make it wrong. So that is a kind of conditioning that I was building myself towards, because I wanted to be taken seriously amongst researchers, which is that until and unless I get published, I will not be taken seriously. But having said that, it does not make my thesis wrong, which was why I sort of abandoned publishing content altogether, right? I had certain patterns about certain sectoral industries, I had certain patterns and trends that I was able to observe from each industry, but then I did not have solid, compelling evidence to get it published in a sense that people would be taking me seriously in the larger span of journal publishing and whatnot. So that's what I feel guilty about, which is what I wanted to begin addressing before I start tracking companies once again and address my observations about the capital markets industries, the financial services industries, the banking industries, whatnot. My next point I want to address is that moving on, I want to begin I want to restart my whole thing once again, my whole motivation of building content once again, alongside understanding certain changes, the seismic changes that AI is bringing to these industries. I want to make a parallel assessment and a judgment of what AI is doing to certain industries and how we can sort of mitigate those problems and build solutions accordingly. What am I trying to say by that? Number one, For example, let's look into the financial services industry. The financial services industry, according to based out of my conversations with a lot of people within that industry, is that a lot of people are going through a serious problem within compliance in that industry, which is to say they want to improve the operational efficiency of compliance within a certain vertical. What do I mean by that? Say, for example, something as simple as getting a company public, getting it to IPO. What happens in a company going public is that there's a lot of compliance, there's a lot of arduous amount of paperwork that perhaps the investment bankers want to entirely get rid of, do away with, and just focus on the actual important things of really trying to get the company public, which is to try to market the company in such a way that all these various promoters can be attracted to and purchase the company on day one itself. So investment bankers primarily would be motivated by that kind of compliance and how they could use AI to sort of like mitigate that operational challenges that this paperwork is giving them. So that's one pattern I've noticed. Similarly, I have other patterns that I would like to discuss over the course of many such videos that I would like to build and see where this takes us. Until next time, I would like to build this once again and start from scratch and understand where the sectors and the industries are going and how AI is taking us and how AI is sort of affecting it. Until next time,